There is a specific type of quiet that settles into your bones when you realize you are never going to leave a room. I'm sitting in that quiet right now. My ears are ringing a dull, rhythmic thrumming, but the screaming has finally stopped. Or rather, I've made it so I can't hear it anymore. If you're listening to this on a podcast or a video, don't look for my name in the news. You won't find it. To the rest of the world, I'm just another drifter who dropped off the grid when he turned 18. But the thing sitting 3 feet away from me is very real, and it's the reason I'm writing this down before the flashlight on my phone dies. It attached itself to me during the autumn of 2021. I was working a seasonal night shift job, clearing brush and guarding an old, half-abandoned lumber yard near the Canadian border. It was freezing, the kind of cold that makes your teeth ache. I was sleeping in the back office a aluminum trailer with a leaky roof when I woke up around 3 a.m. because the space heaters had cut out. Through the fogged-up window of the door, I saw 2 silhouettes. One was a tall, heavy-set guy, our night supervisor, a miserable drunk named Vance. The other silhouette was small, squatting at his feet like a mangy dog. Vance was crying. I had never heard a grown man sound like that. His voice was thick, cracking with a desperate, pathetic terror. He kept repeating, "I brought him to you. Just take the kid and leave my daughter alone. Please." I couldn't move. My muscles felt like they had turned to wet cement. The smaller shape didn't move like a person. It rose up on 2 disproportionately long, spindly legs, its shoulders hunched all the way up to its ears in a sickening caricature of a child playing hide and seek. Its fingers were long, thin needles, twitching in the moonlight. Before Vance could finish his next plea, the thing launched itself upward. It didn't climb, it snapped into the air like a rubber band, wrapping its legs around Vance's throat. His screams cut off into a wet, choking gurgle. They hit the gravel outside the trailer door, rolling into the shadows just beneath the deck. Then came the sound. A heavy, rhythmic slurping, accompanied by the wet cracking of bone, like someone snapping fresh celery inside a leather bag. When the sun came up, Vance was gone. Not a drop of blood, no clothes, nothing. But when I looked down at the floor next to my cot, it was sitting there. It wasn't a child. Its skin was the color of a wet sidewalk, translucent and slick. Its jaw didn't hinge like ours, it split all the way down to its collarbone, revealing rows of black, triangular ridges instead of teeth. And it was grinning at me. It had eaten its previous handler, and now, I belonged to it. The weight on my chest. Nobody believed me, of course. When I panicked and refused to leave the trailer, the lumber company called the police. They treated me as a traumatized kid who cracked under the isolation. I spent a year in a state facility, heavily medicated, watching the great thing sit in the corner of the recreation room. The doctors told me it was a manifestation of acute schizophrenia brought on by stress. But medicine doesn't leave physical marks. I learned the rules of its existence through trial and error. Only I could see it, but its physical presence was undeniable. Every 8 to 10 weeks, it needed to be fed. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with an unbearable, suffocating weight pressing down on my sternum. It would sit on my chest, its needle-like fingers digging deep into the flesh of my collarbones, leaving small, circular puncture wounds that leaked clear fluid. If I ignored it, it grew violent. It took a night nurse, first a kind woman named Elena, who came in to check my vitals. The thing didn't just kill her, it dragged her body directly into my line of sight, forcing me to watch every agonizing second of the digestion process while its hollow eyes stared directly into mine. That's when I realized it was intelligent. It understood leverage. After I was discharged at 18 with a small disability check and no family left, I made a pact with the shadow. I couldn't kill it. I tried stabbing it with a hunting knife once in a motel room. The blade just sank into its flesh like it was cutting through cold lard, leaving no mark and only making it angry. So, I decided to manage it. I became a monster to feed a monster. I used anonymous forums and encrypted classified ads to lure people who wouldn't be missed. Predators, internet creeps, scammers who preyed on the elderly. I'd set up meetings in remote, hourly rate motels along the interstate. They'd walk into the room expecting a vulnerable target, and instead, they'd find me sitting on the bed, staring at the corner. The door would lock behind them, and the gray mass would unhinge its chest. The final room. Over the last 5 years, I noticed something changing. The thing was getting heavier. The puncture marks on my ribs were spreading wider apart. It was growing, thriving on the steady diet of human meat I was providing. That's when the plan took shape. 6 months ago, I used the last of my savings to lease an old, abandoned concrete bunker, a fruit cellar built into the side of a hill in rural Ohio. No windows, one solid steel door, and walls 3 feet thick. I didn't just feed it once that month. I lined up 3 targets in a single week. I spent days driving back and forth, bringing it a relentless feast. The thing became consumed by a grotesque, gluttonous greed. It stopped waiting in the corners, it just sat in the center of the concrete room, absorbing everything I brought it, expanding like a horrific, blood-gorged tick. My plan worked too well. It is now a massive, undulating mountain of waxy, gray fat. It has expanded so much that its flesh has pressed into the contours of the concrete walls, completely blocking the only exit out of the bunker. Its legs and arms are buried beneath folds of translucent blubber. It cannot move. It cannot skitter into the shadows. It is trapped by its own mass. But 3 days ago, the hunger returned, and it realized it couldn't hunt. It began to wail. It wasn't a roar, it was a high-pitched, metallic screech that vibrated through the concrete and set my teeth on fire. The sound was driving me into a state of absolute madness. I couldn't sleep, couldn't think, couldn't breathe. Yesterday, I found a pair of long iron shears in the corner of the cellar. I didn't use them on the monster. I used them on myself. I drove the sharp points deep into my own ear canals, one after the other, until the world went beautifully, perfectly silent. The pain was sharp, but the quiet that followed was worth every drop of blood. So now, I wait. I'm sitting on the floor in the dark, the air thick with the smell of damp concrete and rotting lard. The mountain of flesh in front of me is pulsing violently, its massive, split jaw snapping at the empty air, begging for a meal that is never coming. I'm not going to open the door. I'm out of food, I'm out of water, and my phone screen is flickering at 1%. We are both going to starve down here in the dark, and for the first time in 5 years, I think I'm finally going to get some rest.